Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Oh boy, everybody. It is nonstop every single day, and today I'm very grateful to have in studio with us the treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org.
You got it.
Eventually I get it. It just takes 3,000 times or so. Ken Mejia-Beal joins us in studio, and I'm glad to have you before we get started because I'm grateful for the folks that make these conversations possible. We want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar and find out about the great work they do. Maybe it's time for you to make an appointment to see if you can put solar panels on your house or your business. And again, that's Source Solar. You can go to source.solar and go to the Heartland Signal website, heartlandsignal.com. You can find the podcast with me, Peter, and Warren talking about all the details and specifics, and we're going to have more conversations to come. We broadcasted live on Tuesday from the Madison Tap Room from Minocqua Brewing Company. It was a great event. Wonderful to meet organizers.
It was a great show.
Oh, thank you. You got to come with sometime. We're going to be there on Tax Day. Yeah, let's go hang out in Madison.
April 15th.
Yes,
okay.
I know. It's so weird. Sometimes it's not on April 15th.
I know, it's very confusing.
That throws me off when it's not.
And I always, unfortunately, I always owe. So I like to pay ahead of, since I know I owe the government, I like to do mine early. Mm-hmm. So by April 15th, it's like, I've already paid these people. What?
I tried to be a habitual. I've been many times. I think I once had to drive downtown to hand it over to the post office in person.
Because it's by the...
They stay open. They'll postmark it by midnight. Yes. So I've done that before. So the next one will be April 15th, and I'll get some of the other dates too, but it was wonderful. You got to come and... I love Madison.
I would love to.
I love Madison, Wisconsin.
I lived there for a whole year. I loved it.
Ah, man. I was thinking about... anyway. It's not like... Wisconsin's a complicated place. We'll talk about that, actually, because
let's do it.
Yeah. We also want to thank our friends at the Way Back Inn. March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. If you or someone you love is dealing with a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyourreallywinning.com. Again, that's areyourreallywinning.com. There is no shame in this, so please seek help. And we also want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. We have a stand-up comedy show coming up in June. We don't know if it's the 5th or the 12th yet, and I'll have details to follow. You're going to enjoy this show. It's so much fun.
I love to laugh.
Have you met... I had a show last night, and I'm terrible. Everyone right now is going, you what? I not once mentioned that I was doing a show last night.
Yeah, you did.
I'm the worst self-promoter.
And I was with you twice last week.
Yeah, I did a show at the Lincoln Lodge. Have you been to the Lincoln Lodge?
No.
This place is magical, and it's getting better.
Okay.
It's under the guiding hand of some really talented people, including Kelsey Huff, who's a magnificent stand-up comedian.
Okay.
And they have different rooms. So there's like a cabaret-style room. There's some bigger rooms. You have to go.
I would love to.
Well, I think you might I would take a look and see if there's maybe a space that you want to create an event, because they do like trivia things there, too. I'm just saying.
Look at you, Patty.
I'm just saying. And it's a nonprofit. And I was in the green room.
Are you my manager?
I
Will
might
you be my manager?
I think this is a space for storytelling for you, and for maybe if you want to put together something, because they're open to these kinds of events. It's very, like last night was called no, I'm not going to get it because I said that, hold on a second. I can't remember the name of the show. It was all women over 40, and I was laughing to my husband. And I said, when the producer turns 50, it's going to be only women over 50. I wasn't the oldest, which is fine. I'm used to being the oldest on these shows, but, it's something, I said it was not that. I said it was more, I can't do the joke without actually knowing what the show's name was.
Got it.
But I just
Let's
laughed.
look it up. I
have to look it up, but it was a production of Las Locas comedy, and Janice Rodriguez does a great job of booking these shows and being very collaborative with the comics. And we have the Latina Comedy Festival coming up this year. She's going to be doing a fundraiser, and the entire event will be at Lincoln Lodge. So
I will be there.
I am so very excited about that.
I will be there. I love to laugh, and what I love is the kind of a resurgence. I don't want to say the first time, but there was a period in the 90s where there were a lot of really awesome female comics that were there and visible, and then it just disappeared, I feel like. And I feel like it's coming back, which I think is awesome.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually spent my set talking, because the producer calls me the OG of Latina comics. I was the first woman to headline as a Latina in Chicago.
I believe it.
It's wild to think back on that. When I started, there were only 2 women headlining in the city of Chicago. That was Sonia White and Diana Limo. Sadly, Diana Limo passed away in 2001, and in 2003 I became the second headline. I mean, they really, and for a long time, it's even like, I would say it's still very hard for women to headline in Chicago. And so it was called Delightfully Unbothered. And I said,
I like the name.
I like the name too, but I said, I'm aggressively annoyed all the time. So I don't know how to go. I mean, I have so many F's to give because I care too much.
As you should, though.
I know. So I kind of took a little, I decided in the last minute, since she always introduces me as the OG, I went back to like my first few months of comedy, and I started out wanting to be a political comedian. I know that's hard to believe.
No, not at all.
I became a biographical comedian, an observational comedian, in part because I was 23 years old when I started, and as I was telling the story, we didn't have Too Soon in 1995. It wasn't like we just didn't have social media. We didn't have people recording us on their phones. And so a few months after I started, there was an attack in Oklahoma on the Murrow Federal Building. And I went up the Wednesday, whatever day it was that it happened. And you remember it was a few days before they caught Timothy McVeigh. In those first few days, people were going after people who looked Muslim or Arab, and they were throwing bricks through windows.
Shocker.
I know. And I said, and then the day that, I don't know if it happened that day that they found him, but I said, people realize there's not much you can do because you can't chase people whose houses are on wheels, because he was a redneck. So that was one of the first.
It almost went above me, and I was like, I get it. Yep. I get it.
And so that same set, I was emceeing for Zanies, and are you familiar with Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond?
Yeah.
So I used to have a lot of material about both of them.
As you should.
Right. And so I think it was Jesse Helms, I'm almost positive, he said that men who are diagnosed with AIDS, with HIV, should be tattooed with glow-in-the-dark ink with a skull and crossbones because they're lethal, right?
He said that?
He said that.
I did not know that.
And this is the thing, right? It's so weird to this is when I started. I mean, I've always been an angry woman. I was 23, and I said, with that kind of he said it was some like stream of like, because they, right? And I said, with that twisted logic, Jesse Helms should rot in hell for being a fossilized, cancerous, misogynistic, racist, homophobic tumor on the face of America, right? And so at the end
I'm here for it,
right? And because I had this idea of being sort of a George Carlin style, like lists and things, like saying things really fast. I know it's also hard to believe. So at the end of the show, this woman came up to me and grabbed my hand, and she said, "Shame on you." And I for sure thought it was going to be about the Oklahoma bombing. I go, I know, I shouldn't have, it was not appropriate. She said, "How dare you mention Jesse Helms' name on stage?" She said, you validate him by even bringing him up. And I said, "But did you not hear the rest of the things I said afterwards?" And that was the first time I realized, like, people's brains short circuit, even if they agree with you.
Yes.
Right? And I was 23, and I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I mean, plus I was 23, but I looked 15.
But can I also say, in our 20s, especially as marginalized people, we do want to be accepted.
Yeah.
So any kind of criticism is like criticism times 10.
Yep.
Versus, like, I wish in my 20s and in your 20s, we had the wherewithal and the self-awareness to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it sucked to you," and just move on with our lives. Yeah. But that's not how it works. And I
just didn't have the intestinal fortitude.
Yep.
Because I was also starting if I even mentioned anything about being a feminist, I would be called a feminazi, because this was the rise of Rush Limbaugh as well.
That guy.
Yeah. So I wrote a joke, and I told the audience last night, in 1998, maybe 99, because I wanted to talk about abortion abortion.
Absolutely.
And I said that right to lifers make me so angry that they make me want to get pregnant just so I can have an abortion. And the crazy thing about that was that I've heard that joke in the last few years. I never did it. I never did it on stage because I was too afraid to bring it up. But it was because it's such an angry joke and it's such a dark joke. But now, someone
twisted.
Lori Kilmartin she was on MSNBC. She was a writer for Conan O'Brien. She was one of the writers at the Academy Awards, right?
Nice. That's beautiful.
I mean, come on. So she, a couple years ago, made a joke about how she wanted to be impregnated by one of the some group of people that were annoyingly right to life kind of stuff. Forced birthers. And she was on MSNBC and pretty much did a similar joke to what she got dragged so hard.
People don't like it.
No, and I mean that was the thing is that I wasn't there yet, especially because I was just an MC. I wasn't, and I ended up. I will say I found a way to be political without people realizing it. So I started doing women's health material about being in the stirrups, about breast cancer awareness. I had this whole thing before the whole rise of pink ribbons.
Yes.
I was in Cleveland and I was talking about how we're almost women are in this position of, some women know how to use their bodies to get out of situations or to get what they want. I'm not that good at it. But my bit was when, some women flash themselves when they have a police officer pull them over. And I'm afraid, when do you do that? Right when they get there, ma'am, do you know why I pulled you over?
Flash!
to see my high beams? Right? Sorry, it's a little chilly out. So but I was on stage in Cleveland Improv and this guy started yelling. No, was it Cleveland? Yeah, it was Cleveland. He started yelling, who cares? And I snapped on stage.
Good for you.
I snapped and I started talking about breast cancer. And I said, you guys, fetishize our bodies. We're just objects to you. And I said 1 in 7 women will get breast cancer. And that's not and there isn't any attention. This is 1999, almost 2000. And so I started building this bit because I started having these walks. And so I said, they should just call it Save the Boobies because men would run all day long. And I sold shirts that said Save the Boobies with a pink ribbon on them.
Good for you.
And that was, but that was a way I drew attention to women's health. There isn't, it's the stirrups are so humiliating, and that's why I've gotten to the point where I still do the material about, they'll put a sheet across our knees because they know how it's like a crime scene. You don't want to see what's going on back here. So I found a way to be political without people in the audience tightening up.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm in a space because last night I was like, look, I told the audience I don't ask anybody how they're doing anymore. I ask, hey Ken, are you hydrating?
I was going to text you the other night. I was reading something, I can't remember what, but it was something about hydration. If you stay hydrated, if you drink a gallon of water a day, you are too busy urinating to mind anyone else's business. So just stay hydrated and mind your own business. And I was like, where is Patti? And I was like, I'm going to see her tomorrow. I'll tell her. Just mind your own business.
You're too busy going to the bathroom. I believe we have a mutual friend of ours on the show coming up, someone that you know from DuPage County. We have a candidate for, hold on one second. I know. Martin McManamon.
Wayne Highway Commissioner.
Yes.
Martin McManamon.
Yes, I'm very excited about it.
Seeking re-election.
Yes.
He is a friend of mine.
Yes. So we're going to take a break in a moment because coming up on the show, we also have a phone interview with Dundee trustee candidates Henry Fixemer and Sue Harney.
Awesome.
So that's coming up at 5:30. And then I believe that's it's just me and you for the rest of the show. I'm just saying.
Oh,
we have a
giggity.
We got a whole hour.
I can't wait.
Oh, the other thing is,
yes,
Ken, I don't know if you know this, but now we are in Seattle, Washington on KKNW. I'm very excited.
Hello, Seattle.
I know, 11:50 a.m. in Seattle.
Hi.
We have to road trip to Minneapolis. I don't know if I can road trip all the way to Seattle. I think we're flying to Seattle.
We definitely will, and
yes.
I would love to go to Pike's Market.
I've never been to Seattle. Is that right? Yes, I've never been to Seattle.
Pike's Market.
I can't have my voice in Seattle and not have been there. This is not okay.
Then we need to get on the Southwest.
This feels uncomfortable. This doesn't seem right. I've been through Seattle because I've done comedy shows up there, but I haven't. I know I've passed through. There was one weekend I had 8 flights on a gig in one weekend. That's crazy. What were you about to say?
I would have lorazepammed myself out of here.
It was bad.
I can't fly without it. But no, I was going to say Seattle is beautiful in the summer and the fall.
Okay, so what happens in the summer?
It's not too hot.
Okay.
And it's not too rainy.
So the other seasons are just very rainy?
Well, there's only 2 seasons in Seattle.
I see
the good season, which is summer to fall, and then the bad season.
Okay. That is very good to know. With that, look, I got my little outro music. We are in studio with Ken Mejia-Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. We're going to take your calls. We're going to have our friend Martin on in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 Seattle. We're going to come see you soon, I promise.
Hey, Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on WCPT. I want to let you know that one of our leading progressive voices, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, will be my guest the first Friday of each month at 7:30 a.m.
There are so many people who want to understand how decisions are made, and there are many people who want to know that they are included in those decisions.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, the first Friday of every month on Chu's Views here on WCPT.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, joined in studio by Ken Mejia-Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youthoutlook.org and learn about the great work that they do there and support them in their mission. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Right now, we want to turn to our guest on the phone. We have as a commissioner, Wayne Township Highway Commissioner Martin McManamon, who is running for re-election.
Yes.
Hey, Commissioner, how are you doing today?
Hello there, guys. How are you?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Ken. I didn't know I was going to get the surprise of you being there also. That's excellent.
I'm just everywhere you don't want to be.
I don't think that's right. Do I not want to be here?
No one. No, I'm joking. He knows it.
Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing you at the fundraiser last year in Winfield District. Weren't we in Winfield at that nice little? We had a comedy show.
We were.
Yes.
A year ago. That's right.
Yes.
And I was on your show earlier this year. I believe I was in your studio.
Yes.
We had a. Yeah.
You're a fantastic. I think you're a fantastic public servant, and it's great to talk to you again. So, and one of the things I want to catch people up on the kind of work that you do and have done. So, tell us a little bit about your background and the experience you bring to being commissioner once again.
So, well, I am a union road builder for 35 years. Before I took this job, I originally took the job to put it back in the hands of a road builder and take it away from politicians. I am the only highway commissioner in DuPage County who has any road building experience. I did train my crew how to do asphalt and concrete and put in drainage systems. So we do all this work in-house now. We save hundreds of thousands of dollars doing it. The first thing I did when I got in office was start the Wayne Township Bike Plan, the first bike plan done township-wide in Illinois to start building new trails and connect trails. I managed to get 2 trails built, and I'm in the process of building a third now, so the people really like that. Another thing I do is I've changed a lot of our areas and turned them into natural areas and using native plants as a barrier between the bike path and the roadway. Those roots go down about 12 feet, and those native plants roots go down about 12 feet and collect stormwater also. I also have used bioswales in a couple areas to collect water that was just standing, and we had trouble getting rid of it. So we planted natural bioswale-type plants to suck that water up and create nice pollinator areas and native areas. So all good things. Another thing I did is, being the union man I am, is I did author and create and author the responsible bidder ordinance out in the road district to keep out the non-union contractors and to make sure that the people who come into our area and work are actually trained, that they have safety training, that they have actual training. If you're an electrician, you've done 4 years of an apprenticeship. If you're a carpenter, you've done 4 years of an apprenticeship. If you're a laborer, you've done 2 years, and you know all the safety guidelines, and you won't be falling down and getting hurt and suing us at the road district, but instead you'll do a nice job and you'll have a nice paycheck and you can possibly live in our area and spend your money in our communities and bring it back around, which is the way things should be.
I love that you stress the importance of making sure that we are using union labor because, right now we have somebody at the national level who basically wants to turn this into a right-to-work country. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's awful, too. Another thing is I make sure, and I definitely encourage everybody, when you're using printing for political stuff, getting your signs or printed things in the mail, I always tell people the first thing you look for when you get a piece of political mail in the mail is to see, does that have the union bug on it?
That's right.
If it doesn't, they don't even care about the people printing your letter. How are they going to care about you? You know? So it makes a big difference. That union bug on things makes a big difference. Know that when you're buying something and you see the union bug, somebody took the time to make sure that the people who are doing the work or the workers have health insurance and have good benefits and have a pension, so they won't be a burden to you and your taxes otherwise, because that's the alternative, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
And it really does. You know, I've been scrolling a lot lately, and there's just such a flood of information out there right now.
A lot of information.
I know that, in the Chicagoland area we have some of the strongest unions in the country, and I think that's important to remind folks. And when you talk to the constituents that you serve right now, what are you hearing when you meet them at events or go door knocking or the different ways in which you're connecting with them?
As far as my own campaign or as far as unions, are you asking? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Just as far as, I'm sorry, I conflated two things
yes,
there.
You did.
My gratitude for unions, but also, does union work come up in the conversations when you're talking to constituents?
It does, and it does, especially out here because, it's the Bartlett, Carroll Stream, West Chicago, Hanover Park area, and these are all working people. And especially when you're talking to voters, most voter lists are seniors. Believe it or not, it is. You usually have a lot of seniors, and they're retired people. And if you're living out here and paying these high taxes, you're probably living on a pension. And if you weren't in a union, you probably don't have a pension. So it's a big, big topic when I go to the doors. I'm knocking doors right now as we're talking. I'm sitting in my car, and I got my laborer's Local 76 jacket on. I'm in a shirt and a tie, but I always wear something. If it's cold out, I wear my Local 76 hat. If it's a nice day like today, I wear the jacket, so the people know when I'm at the door. Hey, I am in a union. Are you in a union? And people bring it up all the time. They bring it up all the time. Oh, were you a laborer? Yes, I was. Am I still? I'm a retired laborer after 35 years, and yes, I will have insurance for my family for the rest of our lives because of that.
Yeah.
So very good thing. Another topic I do want to bring up about my campaign, though, is the negative publicity that my opponents are putting out. I mean, I've never met people who have so much nothing to run on, and the lies and lies and lies, and the way they're filling the texts for people, and the way they're filling people's mailboxes day after day with these just flat out lies about everything. It's difficult in the way that it hurts on a personal level, but it's way worse than that. Because being chair of the Wayne Township Democrats and Ken can vouch as being chair of the DuPage Democrats for quite a time, that it's hard to get people to step up to run. But when they see all this negative mail coming, they don't want to run for office. To get somebody to run the library board or part of, I don't want to do that. And I say, oh, well, it's a good idea. You can do it. Oh, but did you see what they did to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I can't go through that. I really can't go through it either. And it's so sad that these Republicans, they have nothing to run on. Not one accomplishment. My opponent's been in government for 15 years. 15 years. And he can't post one accomplishment he has. It's like, are you kidding? Man, if you're in government and you can't say what you've accomplished every week or at least every month, get out. get out. You're doing nobody any good.
Yeah, it makes me crazy.
Agree with that.
Yeah, I agree, and that goes for any candidate. If what they have to win on is being negative, and what makes me crazy is the lack of accountability, right? That there isn't some sort of checks and balances when it comes to some sort of stopgap.
It does feel like with campaign literature, there's so many laws to protect the First Amendment that you can dance around a truth and make it a lie that is so blatant, but it's legally, what do you call the word? It's legally sound that it stinks.
Well, the problem, the problem is the reason they do it, right, Martin and Ken, is that it works. Unfortunately,
it does.
And unfortunately, it does work. It does work. And I have this stellar record, but I'm telling you, knocking doors, I haven't had a person say a word to me about it. Now, and I know they've all gotten it, but every person, and this is Republican and Democrat households alike, because I have to knock these Republican doors to have any chance of winning out in Wayne Township. They're the majority out here. So, yes, not one word said about it. In fact, most of the people just say, we've heard of your good work. We really like you. The things with the bike paths really sell to people. They're really happy that I done all this work on the bike path, and I talk about it. All my mailings and all my ads, and I've been doing a lot of them, they're all positive. It's just, here's my accomplishments. I did cut taxes and freeze them, a couple times. I do have the best safety record. In 12 years, we've never had an accident. We start every morning with morning exercises, every Monday with a safety meeting, every month with safety. These are huge things. We just had our workman's comp cut by 60% this year.
Wow.
But they put an ad out yesterday saying that I got sued for $100,000. Where did I get sued? I asked the guy today. We had our safety meeting this morning. I asked the guy today. I said, hey, I want to know who got the $100,000. Who got that $100,000? Who got it?
Yep.
What are you talking about? I've got letters from my workman's comp. For every year, for the last 3 years, they send me a letter every 3 years saying you haven't had an accident in the last 3 years. You have an excellent safety record. I called them up every day for about a month earlier this year today. I'm not taking any increases. I want a decrease, and I actually told them I wanted an award, for having such a safety record. And they did. They came in and they audited us. They did the whole walkthrough of the place and sent me a wonderful, nice letter saying about the good job we're doing, and they cut our thing by 60%. Now, not too many people in the construction business. In fact, I dare anybody in the construction business could say they have that record. But instead, they're saying I got sued for $100,000. Where's the $100,000?
Yeah,
no way to fight it. No way to fight it.
They need to show their work.
Show your work.
Show your work, people. Well, Martin McManamon shows his work, and you guys can visit martinmcmanamon.com to learn more about his campaign. Of course, Election Day is on Tuesday. You can
April
early
1st.
vote. You can early vote this weekend and until Monday. Until Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, every day.
Yeah, every day.
Go vote.
Vote every day.
Vote.
Only once, though.
Commissioner, always a pleasure to talk to you. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and I wish you the very best. I look forward to celebrating. Absolutely.
Both of you.
See you soon, sir.
Take care, sir.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Let's take a break here. We'll come back with some candidates for Dundee offices.
Whoop, whoop.
More with Ken Mejia-Beal and I in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW at 11:50 a.m. in Seattle.
Tom Hartman.
Lori in Ocala, Florida. Hey, Lori, what's up?
Hi, Tom. First, I just want to say thank you for being here for all of us. It's really important. It's almost like having a friend there that you know you can listen to and talk to. And I've listened to you since Air America, and I really appreciate you today.
Well, thank you, Lori.
The Tom Hartman Radio Program. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter. Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
DuPage County continues to get out the vote and elect progressive candidates, so it's no wonder that there are now several local retailers carrying progressive beer from Minocqua Brewing Company. Be sure to grab yours from Famous Liquors in Lombard, Armanetti Beverage Mart in Roselle, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, and Bobby's Liquor Warehouse in Carroll Stream, conveniently located next door to the DuPage County Democratic Office. A full list of Illinois locations that offer the Resistance lineup of beers posted at the top of the Patti Vasquez Show Facebook page, as well as at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
thank you so much for joining us as we continue to. Ken's laughing because I rather than make a fool of myself on the air, I wanted to get on the line with one of our guests
that's how you do it.
Because I know him and I wanted to make sure, and I didn't want to be disrespectful, but now I'm saying it anyway. So joining us on the line, well, in studio, WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle, Washington. We are hanging out in studio talking to some candidates for local races because this is where things really impact your life every single day.
Every day.
And joining us on the line are Henry Fixemer, running for Dundee trustee, and Sue Harney, who was also running for Dundee trustee. Let me just say hello to both of you. How are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. How are you?
Excited to be here.
Excellent.
Good.
I love the enthusiasm, and I'm excited. And someday I'll have you in studio as well. I know you're busy because you're in the middle of the campaign. The election's on Tuesday. I want to start, Henry, because I've known you for over a decade. I think I met you at WGN before I even had a show. I think that you. So Henry was the recipient of the WGN fruitcake. Am I right, Henry?
Yes, that was delightful. I still have a picture of us posing with it, too.
Yes. And Henry has been very involved. Went down to Springfield with me when Governor Rauner made these horrible cuts. So, Henry, tell us a little bit about what has inspired you. Well, first of all, where'd you grow up, my friend?
Where'd I grow up?
Yep. Where? Yep.
Northern Indiana. So...
You sound hesitant to say that.
Yeah.
Look,
North Central Indiana.
You know, some states have a welcome to our state sign. They have hell is real as their welcoming stuff.
Yeah. So I have to say, what inspired me actually was that time when you were going down to Springfield and then when you ran your race. And honestly, I don't know if I would have been doing this if I hadn't known you.
Oh, come on. Well,
that is beautiful.
It was great to take Henry around and talk to your legislators. But I think what you and I, even though he was not our legislator, we both had a tremendous time talking to Steve Anderson. Right? Was Steve? Yes. And so, so I think that people like that are also individuals to look up to. And so what are some of the issues? Well, first of all, let me talk to Sue as well. Sue, where did you grow up, my friend?
Inglewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver.
Oh, nice.
I love Colorado. Sorry, Henry.
Yes,
Indiana
sorry, Henry.
Me too.
I just went to Denver for the first time, so it was beautiful.
Why couldn't you stay there?
Well, because I'm married, and my husband got a job in Illinois, and it paid really well, and so here we are. And I love Illinois, too.
All right.
Good.
That's how I came to Illinois, too.
Oh, fair stuff. And so Sue, what inspired you to decide to run for Dundee trustee?
Well, I've been in public office for well over 30 years, and I was the township supervisor between 2001 and 2017. And I was also one of the co-architects of the Dundee Township's open space program. We started that in the 1980s, and we got the township residents to agree to an $18 million bond referendum to buy land in Dundee. So my great passion is the open space, and I led it for about 4 terms, 16 years. And then woke up one day in 2016 and thought, I'm done working full time, but I still wanted to be a trustee. So I'm running for my 3rd term as trustee, and only because Henry and the other candidates pleaded with me to, kind of mentor them along a little bit, and then I can bow out at the end of this next term if I win.
Oh, that's tremendous.
If we let you.
I don't know. It sounds like
Sue has been an amazing mentor, and she's done so much for this community. She's really been inspiring to us.
Now, so Dundee is in itself.
Dundee Township.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to ask. So Dundee Township. So Henry, tell me a little bit about the communities that are in Dundee Township. So, because some folks don't know they're in a township.
Yeah.
That's correct. We have East and West Dundee, Carpentersville, Sleepy Hollow, and parts of Elgin, Gilbert's, Algonquin, and Barrington Hills. Sue, did I leave anything out?
Nope, you got them all. There's a little bit of something else, but it's not important because there's nobody living there.
Oh, well, there you go. No one lives there.
I think a lot of people listening right now are like, oh, I miss Santa's Village. And I don't know.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I live right by Santa's Village.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
It was such a great place.
It really was. Remember the rocket? We went straight up the rocket, and it had like a spiral. Anyway, I'm too much memory lane. That's not what we're here to talk about. So Henry, as a new candidate, as somebody who is seeking office for the first time, what has surprised you in running for office? What kind of jumped out at you as something like, oh, didn't see that coming? Because for me it was.
Signs cost a lot.
I was going to be the money.
Signs do cost a lot.
I was going to say for me it was the money. Like the most stressful part was call. Do you have to do call time?
Did I have to do what? I'm sorry.
Oh, call time is when you call people like for hours.
And beg for money.
We've been lucky enough to have some support where we have some people doing phone banking, so I've been able to kind of focus on other aspects.
And what are some of those aspects? What do you enjoy the most then, I guess, about running for office right now?
I've had fun with canvassing. I mean, not many people, open their doors, but when they do, you can have some fantastic conversations and meet some neighbors that you just didn't know before, and you meet some wonderful people.
Yeah. I believe it. And so for you, Sue, looking back at this career and if they let you step down after this term.
They won't.
It doesn't sound like it.
They will not.
It does not sound like it. What would you say, looking at all, the collective of that, what has changed the most? I mean, I think obviously it feels as though you were talking about pre-social media kind of work that you've been doing in the public space. So, what are some of the things that have evolved since you first took office?
Well, social media is the big thing. When I first ran, I financed my own campaign, and it was expensive. And I did it out of this great passion for open space. I mean, you just can't believe how much I believe in it. And we have 1,000 acres of it now. And so now it's the social media part, and it's Facebook and everything. Tons cheaper. It really is tons cheaper. But I just am not real fond of social media. I sort of dabble in it here and there. And I had to put up a Facebook page that I have to operate, which is really pathetic, I'm sorry to say, but it's the best I've been able to do. I've been mentored. There's been a lot of mentoring that's coming back towards me with the younger people I'm running with. They are like, carefully taking my hand and leading me along and patting me on the head. And so, but I'm getting marginally better at it. And, but I don't enjoy it that much. I just, social media for me seems like a lot of time that I can get lost in things. And I would much rather be more focused.
That's absolutely fair.
It is the center of unhappiness, Sue, so I don't blame you.
Yes. I'm sorry to say that's what it is for me.
No, it's horrible. Same here.
And Henry, tell us a little bit about the role of a trustee in Dundee Township.
Henry or me?
Henry.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
We work with overseeing a lot of the funding for our various departments. Like the township has, this East and West Dundee cemeteries, the assessor's office, the open space, as Sue said, which is an amazing program. Our mental health board, our 7808 board, which is extremely important to our community. Some assistance programs, roads, and I feel like I'm leaving something out.
Well, I do have a question from a listener about the Dundee Township Mental Health Board. Sue, what would you like to share with? Is that also a topic that falls under or issue that falls under the purview of the trustees in Dundee?
Yes, it does. The trustees, the township board approves the budget for the 708 mental health board, and that is one of the major points we're running on.
So tell us.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, the current township board has capped the voters in 2020 approved something like a levy for like $3 million, give or take. And what the current township board has done is restrict the budget to $500,000, and they refused to levy for it at all in 2022. It was in court with a dispute until 2022, but they could have levied for it and started treatment in 2022. They chose not to. In 2023, they levied $500,000, and what happened at that point was that the 708 board then had to cut the programs that could be offered by 62%.
Oh, my God.
That's a lot.
Yes. And this is on my Facebook page. One of the other trustees that I spoke with, Ken Schaefer, who I've been on the board with for all these years, Ken felt this was a wants versus need request on the part of Ecker. And the specific program, there were several programs that were cut, but the specific one that galls me a great deal is offering a psychiatrist, a part-time, not a full-time equivalent, but a half-time equivalent of a psychiatrist and a psychiatric nurse as to go out to homeless encampments in the township and pull those people into treatment and then eventually hopefully get them into shelter. And with the understanding that not everybody's going to get there, but you can do a lot. If nothing else, you just save money by not having to deal with crises and instead getting people into, care and treatment and being able to get along. My conversation with Trustee Schaefer was he felt this was a want on the part of Ecker. And, of course, Ecker wants to do these programs because they're applying to do them. I find that categorization of this being a want instead of a need, it just makes me enraged. And that's really how I feel about it. I feel that the rest of the board, I'm the lone Democrat on the board right now. And so what I see on the part of the township board, which sets the budget or caps the budget, is that they are very focused on how much can we save and how much can we not spend. The focus and the discussions, if you look at the minutes, are never about what kind of needs can we make for our residents and what kind of services, how can we get them the services with the most bang for the buck that we have. The residents gave us a lot of money, $3 million, and it's more or less, it changes with every levy, of course. In addition to that, what they're saying now is that it'll be a tax increase. Well, no, it won't, because Dundee Township, just in the 2024 year, increased their they added $39 million plus change onto the tax rolls. So we have $39 million more dollars worth of assessed value in the township just from last year. So it's not going to be a tax increase. We have a much bigger pot to share, and we could afford an additional, I'd say $500,000 or maybe $1 million. I wouldn't bump it all the way up to $3 million right away, because this is a new board, a new 708 board, and they're putting things in motion. They're building this structure from the ground up, and they're putting things in place. So, of course, you don't want to, throw a whole bunch of money in there and just have it sitting around. But the initial ask by the service agencies was over $1.3 million, and that's what was cut so dramatically.
Wow.
And that's one of the huge campaign issues that I feel is so important from my perspective. And I've said these things at meetings to my fellow board members, so I don't feel like I'm ratting them out or anything like that. The voters told us what to do. And from my perspective as a longtime elected official, when the voters tell me what to do in a referendum like that, I am honor-bound and duty-bound to do it to the best of my ability. And I feel that's what's lacking here. And as I said, for me, the foundational issue is perspective. My perspective is, what is the most amount of service that we can reasonably get out the door with what the taxpayers have given us? My fellow board members' perspective is, how can we cut the most? And what is the least amount of money? And the difference is services versus money. And the taxpayers have given us the money. And I think we are duty-bound and honor-bound to deliver for them. I'm looking at a statistic from the needs assessment. One of the first things that they wanted, that this board wanted, the township board wanted, was the needs assessment, which they did last year. Now I want you to keep this in mind. Kane County has done biannual needs assessments for at least a decade. So that needs assessment was there to an extent. We did our very own for an additional $25,000. We got good information from it. But we did not need to postpone putting out services based on a needs assessment because, surprise, surprise, the needs assessments have a great deal in common and everything. So we can get that stuff out there, and we should be doing that. And if we make a little bit of a mistake, that's okay. We're not talking about graft or anything like that here. We're talking about maybe a misjudgment. We could do a little more or a little less. We need to be doing it.
We're going to take a quick break here and come back and continue the conversation. I'm not ending it. I just need to take a break because I got to big wrap it up from my producer for this segment. We are talking to candidates for Dundee trustees, Sue Harney and Henry Fixemer. Let's continue the conversation with Ken Mejia-Beal in studio on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. How's Everfest?
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you for hanging in with us as we drive it home. Hanging in, well, me, mostly I'm saying thank you to Lady B for being patient with my trying to be on time for everything now.
Lady B, best producer ever.
That's right. And we have Ken Mejia-Beal in studio, guest co-hosting tonight. He's the treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment after the 6 o'clock break. Right on the line with us, we have candidates for Dundee trustees, Henry Fixemer and Sue Harney. And I want to come back because we were talking about the mental health board. And one of the things I learned when Henry and I were going down to Springfield was, there's so much resistance to investing in people is what it comes down to by people on the other side of the aisle. But when you invest in people, you save lives. That's just the bottom line.
Every time.
So I just
save tax dollars.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's not just that you're saving lives and bettering lives, but when somebody is functional, they get back into the workforce and they can give back to the community just through the taxes they make and everything else. Yep. And you have fewer services and their kids get a stable home. And, I mean, it's a win-win. And, yeah, you save money in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, Sue, go ahead. Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one point from the previous segment and everything with the needs assessment. I'm looking at it right now, and one of the things that came up in the needs assessment was a question, if you live in Dundee Township and if you have a household member or personal mental health issue, were you or the household member able to get needed community support services? The no answer was 89%.
Oh, my God.
So 89% of the people in Dundee Township in the past couple of years during the time of this survey were not able to get. Now, the good news about that is over 90% were able to get treatment, but they got it in Elgin or they got it in Algonquin or they went to Chicago or other places. And so that's why it's so important that we provide these services to the best of our ability.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So well said. So tell me, Henry, what are some of the other issues that you're talking to constituents about? Some of the neighbors, you were talking about canvassing. What's coming up? What's on their minds?
I think that we've talked about the mental health board and the open spaces. Some of it is transparency. We found it interesting that when we started talking about transparency just before the new year, because the board meetings were not recorded, it was minutes. And with recordings, you get more of the nuance of what happens. You get some of the you see what's happening. You hear all the words that aren't necessarily included. It's important. And they weren't doing that. And then the word started getting out that we wanted to recommend that we do the recordings, the video recordings, and all of a sudden we have video recordings. And, it was kind of coincidental, maybe we should say, and that they waited at least for 3.5 years before they got around to it. So we know that they're listening. We want to get some more traction on that, maybe get some more live streaming.
Yeah.
And the other thing for me, kind of going back to the mental health board, but also just general knowledge about townships, is we need more outreach. And I would like to see the township find ways to let people know that it exists. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've talked to so many people who think we're talking about East Dundee or West Dundee village races, which are completely separate. And they don't realize that a township is larger than, a town, or I'm sorry, village. We're in Illinois.
Yeah.
I grew up in Indiana. Don't judge me.
No judgment.
With apologies to my friends in Indiana.
Yes, same.
I love my friends in Indiana. But, it's going back to the mental health board, what Sue said about so many people not getting help. Even though the mental health board is young, there's still not many people even know it exists. So they don't get that, I'm trying to think how to say it, like the referrals.
Right.
And, and the other thing is that with that outreach, part of the process is they send out requests for the RFPs, requests for proposals to providers, and they're not receiving those requests. They're not seeing them, or they're going to spam or whatever. We need to have outreach where they're talking to these local agencies, so that they know that the funding is there. Because what the mental health board does is hand out grants to these places like Eckert, which is where a lot of people go for addictions counseling and things like that. So we need to do a better job of outreach so that the providers know they're there, and also for people to know where is there a centralized location where they can get this information. The website needs to be developed more because it's hard to find that information. So at this point, I believe they said that, social workers and a few public officials can refer people to some of these places, but really we need to do better at letting our residents know that it's there.
And that is such a statewide problem, too, of knowing about the services that are available. And so it sounds like you want to work in that direction at the local level. Before we go, Sue, give folks your 20-second pitch on running for this office and what you'll bring to this position.
It's the most fantastic thing you can do. You can stay at home. You can make a difference. Dundee Township has an open space district because of my friends and I. And we have changed the face of the township. We were also instrumental in getting the 708 board, which is going to change the face of the township and make it a much better place to live. I think people don't realize all the good things you can do. And you can do it when you stay at home. You don't have to go down to Springfield. And, that's an awesome thing, too, to be able to go down there. But you can just stay at home and be at your own place and make a huge difference in your community. You have so much more power than you realize if you just use it. And I would encourage everyone to at least run for office once or twice. And if you can't make yourself do that, support a good person to run for office. And the other thing, of course, is vote. The last 4 years ago, the turnout was less than 10%. Less than 10%. Wow. And we lost the majority of the board, and we lost 4 years of providing good mental health treatment because of that.
Mm-hmm. And now let folks know where they can find out more information about both of your campaigns.
VoteFixemer.com.
Sorry, VoteFixemer.com. That's FIXEMER.com, correct?
Correct.
And
yes.
Sue, your Facebook page?
On Facebook.
Excellent. Sue Harney.
Facebook.
Sue Harney, Harney. Thank you both so much. Go get them, and we really appreciect your time. We're so grateful that you're running for office.
Thank you.
Good best of luck.
Thank you.
Look forward to celebrating with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're good, I think. Even though I was almost late, I still am going to make it on time because we're good. So Ken Mejia-Beal and I will come back in just a little bit and continue our action after this on WCPT at 20 Heartland, sitting on KKN W1150 in Seattle.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Someday the off-air conversation will be shared somewhere, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Where appropriate. There's some language.
Not that one.
You're listening to Driving It Home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Ken Mejia-Beal. He is the treasurer of Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org, and we'll learn more about that in just a moment. I want to thank our sponsors who are making these conversations possible on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal here in Chicago, as well as AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, KTNF, the progressive voice of Minneapolis, St. Paul. We also want to say hello to our friends listening on 1150 AM, KKNW in Seattle, Washington, which is super exciting. I'm very honored to be a part of the team. Thank you for having us. And these conversations are brought to you by Source Solar. Go to source.solar for more information about solar panels. Maybe it's time for you to get some solar energy in your home or your business. That's source.solar. On Tuesday, we were in Madison, Wisconsin, broadcasting live from the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room. You can find out more about all those events, not just the one that we broadcast every month, but also they've got like Beer Church. They have all kinds of organizing going up there. Indivisible, Wisconsin. Some great work. So go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, and when you sign up for the newsletter, you will also receive my weekly piece. I do Mocha Mondays, basically talking about the resistance. This week's was regarding town halls. Make them show up.
I love that.
A lot of people are having empty chair town halls because these folks don't want to show up and take the heat. So there was a great one in Elkhorn. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And we also want to thank our sponsor from their sponsors with The Way Back In. March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. If you or someone you love is struggling with a gambling addiction, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Or you can visit areyoureallywinning.com. And, of course, our friends at Kids Above All. Kids Above All with us since the very beginning. We have a comedy show coming up, Stand Up for Kids, in June. Stay tuned for more details. Right now, you can go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission in helping children live happy, healthy, safe lives. And we did a town hall meeting in Elkhorn. Not me, but grassroots organizers in Elkhorn. They were hoping for 100, 205 standing room only.
Yes, I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
And we had speakers. They had speakers between the youngest was 23, the oldest 98.
And that's what we need.
Come on.
That's what we need, because you don't know where you're going unless someone can tell you where they've been.
Yeah.
We need everybody on board.
You're so right.
We need everybody.
With all due respect to everyone who's ever been on my shows, one of my favorite interviews ever was a doctor from Hyde Park. And the interview is still available online from my previous station. He had walked from Chicago to Springfield during the Governor Rauner years when there was a budget impasse.
Got it.
He had served in World War II, and he had been playing poker with his buddies.
Yeah.
As gunfire, all of them gone except for him. There was when he looked up, there was a helmet with it was the stories he told.
Very traumatic.
And he became a doctor, had worked for decades providing care on the South Side, and at 90, you're right. I mean, here was someone who's telling us what it's been like and how we need to make sure we don't go backwards
to deal with actual Nazis. Mm-hmm. It's a very important part in our history that we still have folks that are around that can tell you about, no, this is exactly how it started.
Right.
And this is how it's going. And we need that.
Yep. You have to name the things. We also heard from a young man who is a union member, 23 years old. And I had actually met him last year. We had gone door knocking in Walworth County. Mm-hmm. I'm going back this weekend to go door knocking in Walworth. The volunteers there are amazing. I'm excited about that. Fibs for Wisconsin rides again. For anyone who's not familiar, our Wisconsin neighbors, our friends to the north, lovingly call us effing Illinois bastards. And I have decided to embrace that. We have a logo and everything.
That is what we are.
Hey, I've seen us drive. I've seen us make a mess. And it's funny because there's so many ex-Illinoisans that live in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
too.
There are
a lot. So
lots in Wisconsin and in Michigan.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Again, with all due respect to Michigan, it's easier for me to get to Wisconsin.
Well, it's easier for all of us to get to Wisconsin.
Right? What is with that Dan Ryan?
It's a mess.
It is a mess.
And I will tell you, because when I lived in the burbs and my ex-husband lived in Wisconsin, and I would travel back and forth, which is how I ended up just there for a year. But my point is, it would take me the same amount of time to drive from Naperville to Madison, Wisconsin, than it would take me to drive from Naperville to downtown Chicago. And it was like, maybe we can just move here. I don't know. I loved it there.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Wisconsin. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody listening that
no shocker.
No shocker there. Because I went to Girl Scout camp there, and that's one of the things that really kept me going a lot. Not just the fact that that I appreciated so much of Wisconsin in my youth, but I had more rights and protections as a 9-year-old Girl Scout in East Troy, Wisconsin, than I do today. it's appalling.
Very sad.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that kept me motivated. And you do a lot of work to make sure that people feel supported and have the kind of community that they might not find other places. Please tell us about Youth Outlook.
Well, I'm working with Youth Outlook, and, our job is really to, as I say every week, invest self-esteem, confidence into young people. And it sounds so easy and so cliche, but then you look at I dare anyone to watch 2 hours of the news and take your own preconceived notions out of it.
Right.
And imagine watching the news today.
Right.
As a young LGBTQ person. And especially the trans community. I want to talk about that just for a moment, because we are in a country that is literally and legally erasing trans people. Not just, I don't know how to say this the right way. We're not we are abusing. We're doing a lot of negative things, but we are simply erasing them as people.
Yeah.
And it is disgusting. And I can't imagine, because as a black gay person in this country, trust me, I know a lot about a lot, but never to be erased. I've been demonized. I've been mocked. We've been criticized, kicked down, all that. Never erased. There's a difference.
There is.
And that's what we do at Youth Outlook. And if I can really quick.
No, please.
I do. If you're interested in reading, I do have a monthly newsletter that's supposed to be uplifting and has a lot of Youth Outlook stuff. You can go to Asken, ASKEN, get it, Asken, questions at KenMejia-Beal.com.
I love it.
Yeah, and what we will do is we'll get you signed up for the newsletter. Next month edition is all about, next month is Stress Month, stress awareness. So we have some great recommendations and great events. But what I try to do in the community, in a nutshell, and the gay community, black community, liberal community, progressive community, is just say your voice matters.
Yeah. Yes.
And you are here. And that's all we can do, because sometimes the biggest action you can make is the action of saying, I exist.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
And people don't realize that.
No.
They take it for granted that their existence is somehow.
Yeah.
It just is.
Your existence is 99% of the battle.
Right.
And as you can go into any space with the understanding that I am here to show you I exist.
Yep.
You're already 3 steps ahead. So that's all I try to do every day, is remind folks that they exist.
I think that I have, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but Declan has my young son, Declan, who has physical and intellectual challenges. I decided last year that I wanted to look into stretch therapy.
Oh, nice.
And I called Stretch Labs, and I told them the situation, that my son is nonverbal, so it's not quite the same as you have with other clients. And they said, let me look into it. And they called back and they said, we have somebody who has studied, working with people with autism and nonverbal challenges. And I have to tell you, the therapists that we have, first of all, they are in they're in the Army, and so they're in they're in the Guard, and they, they're very concerned about their own safety.
Absolutely,
everything that's happening.
Yeah,
it's a very strange situation for everyone. I don't understand really. Because I posted something about Wisconsin and sick jumped in with this bathroom
it's the trolls. I'm so sick of the trolls.
This is what one of the things that makes me crazy.
Let's talk about
Nobody leaves the house in the morning and thinks, I can't wait to use a public bathroom. We are all in there out of necessity.
Yes.
And I will tell you, there are more men that are likely to go in a woman's room. No, they don't wait for an invitation. No. I mean, it's so gross to me. And this was when we talked about negative campaigning.
Yeah.
Anytime someone weaponizes the idea that women and children are going to be the target of sexual assault, it's not because they actually care or actually doing anything. If we're talking about the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, like the guy Schimmel, he was sat on rape kit tests. So don't tell me he gives a damn about sexual assault.
He does not.
I'm just saying.
Well,
Did I start yelling?
No. Well, there was a jackass who has this weird conservative thing. He's in Downers Grove. I'm not saying his name. But he was ranting and raving about how he went to a bathroom at a men's retreat or something with high school wrestlers, and there were tampons in the bathroom. And I'm going to tell you, and he's saying, and all the boys had nosebleeds, and he was like, oh, just stick the tampons in your nose. So my first question is, why does every boy on your wrestling team have tampons? Have nosebleeds, let's talk about that for a moment. And then he goes, they found it funny, they're throwing it around, it's a waste. So my second question is, instead of demonizing the trans community because there's tampons in the men's room or whatever you're trying to do, let's talk about why your group of teenage boys have no empathy or the level of maturity just to acknowledge that there's tampons in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, why is that such a funny thing? Why is that a weird... Like, I don't fundamentally understand what's so great about it.
Yeah.
Like, what's so funny about it. So... there's a disconnect.
There's a severe disconnect. It's very strange times that we're living in. I will be campaigning with Adam Selzer and I going up to Wisconsin on Saturday. Have you met Adam?
No.
We'll have to have you in studio with
We're
Adam
never, so we're always ships passing in the night.
I will make that happen. Adam Selzer and I are going to be in Wisconsin. I'm going to be joining, he's doing a cemetery tour at Graceland Cemetery Saturday morning before we head up to Wisconsin. So go to adamchicago.com if you want to get tickets, and I should be able to get there in time.
So he's doing a tour of Graceland Cemetery?
Yeah, he's an author who writes about it.
I do know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I see you on Saturday. Just saying.
Oh, not at the cemetery, girlfriend. No. I'll come knock doors, but I'm not. Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's Ken Mejia-Beal, the treasurer of Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org to support their mission. We also want to take a break here and come back. We want to take phone calls when we come back because we got several people. One person's been on hold since the whole show.
I want to talk to Jim.
Yeah, Jim's been on hold for quite a while. So we'll talk to Jim when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KTNF AM 950 and 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington. More in a moment.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
I hadn't heard that yet. I like that. Hello. Thank you, Dan Levy. That sounds fantastic. Adam and Andy and Dan Levy, thank you for that new audio. Because yesterday it was in the board, and it was like, it was usually I have that little music afterwards.
Yeah.
But yesterday it was like, Patty's taking your calls and like, bang. And I was like, I need some music at the end of
I like the music. I like everything that's happening here.
I love it all. We are in studio with treasurer of Youth Outlook, Ken Mejia-Beal. You can go to youth-outlook.org to learn more about their work and support their mission. We want to say hello to our friends listening in Seattle on KKNW 1150. It's so much fun to say that I'm a part of their team now. Thank you.
I love this.
Thank you. And KTNF AM 950. Always a pleasure to hang out with you in the evenings as well. And we're broadcasting here in Chicago on WCPT 820. Now, if I add more stations, I don't know if I can name everybody. We'll just have to I don't know how that works.
You'll just have to have me on every day to do that at the top of the hour.
It'll be the show. We'll have to figure out a way to make an audio for that. Jim is calling from Chicago. It's a wellness check with Jim. How you doing, my friend? Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. You've been on hold so long, my friend.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, the Emperor of Florida, Ronnie down there in Florida, is the governor, had the nerve. Apparently, his taste in clothes is the same as in furniture. He's got this gold upholstered chair. It looks like it came from the Goodwill. And he's sitting there and he says, we have to lower the age on children to work. They have to go to work earlier.
Them to work. Not just that. It's overnights. They want them to be able to work too, Jim.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, because they're running all the migrants out of the country. So the Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, they need workers, Patty. They need workers.
Yep.
And then Bobert, believe it or not, takes a question from a BBC reporter and it tells her, Biden did it. It was Biden that did it. She asked a coherent question to her.
Right.
That she couldn't apparently answer. So she went berserk. and said it was Biden's fault. It's Biden's fault.
Oh, my God.
But the point is, it's not this old man in the White House, because all he's on is a revenge tour. That's all he's on. He doesn't understand 2025. He doesn't understand Heritage Foundation. He doesn't understand any of these people trying to hijack our government, hijack the United States. But who does understand it are people like Ron DeSantis and Bobrick. They understand it quite ruefully because they depend on the money from that organization and these Republican think tanks and you name it, Hillsdale College and Prager University and the internet specialist. That's who they're depending on.
Yep.
So the old man in the White House has no idea of any of this. All he knows is revenge.
Exactly. And being mad about portraits of him in state capitol buildings.
No, I'm surprised he isn't going after his grammar school children, putting them in jail, with these people. He's got actually people walking around with masks on.
Yeah,
clapping people off the street.
They're kidnapping students and people who are here on visas.
I saw a woman that got kidnapped today with a doctorate degree. Took her out ruefully with cuffs behind her back.
Yep.
And these three people are unidentified.
They put their hands on her right away. Did you see this, Ken? The student at Tufts.
It was horrible. You wouldn't believe you're in the United States of America. You wouldn't believe this is the United States of America. But that's his revenge. He's going to sue lawyers. He's going to sue TV. He's going to sue anybody who's ever said anything bad about him. Well, he could do that till he croaks.
He plans to.
But the people I'm worried about are the younger Republicans that believe this Project 2025 and these think tanks. Because as far as I'm concerned, our policies are humane policies. He's closing mental health centers now. He's closing the CDC down after a gigantic pandemic. And what they're doing, this Project 2025 and these Republican things, they're hurting the average American person. There's no such thing as average or not average. We're human beings. We're all human beings. We all suffer the same thing. We all go through this life until the end. And when you put initiatives in for health care and mental health care and Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, lowering the cost of college, hiring the minimum wage, those are things that any society with a half of mind would understand. But apparently they've got this. They want to ramrod this cruelty on us. And it's just too much to watch. It's just to sit back and watch it. It's just too much. Anyway, Kenny and Patty, thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Jim.
Thanks,
Talk
Jim.
to you soon.
Thank you. One of the things I was curious about, and I was just looking up again, is this idea that people are being apprehended. The student at Tufts, she had co-written a opinion piece, asking her university to no longer support Benjamin Netanyahu, and Rubio says that's enough of a reason to revoke someone's student visa. It is not.
It is not.
And it made me wonder, what do these people think the Constitution actually means? Because it doesn't say only American citizens.
I can explain this for you because trust me. So the way the GOP looks at the Constitution is based on who the Constitution is defending.
Right.
So if you are someone that they value and they appreciate, then the Constitution will work in your favor.
Right.
But if you're someone going against something, the Constitution will not work in your favor. And that is why we have to have impartial judges. But I don't have enough time to get into that.
Hard.
But I'm just saying that's why having good judges matters because...
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Let's get to David Hoffman Estates.
Dave, how's it going?
What's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Patty. Hey, Ken. Yeah, and that got to thinking about when Trump and his people took those alleged Venezuelan, gang people, either with the tattoos or what.
Yeah. This is horrible. By the way, before you go on, there's one person that was kidnapped that had a ribbon. No, was he a hairdresser with the autism ribbon?
No, there was
tattoo. It was for his brother. No, this one was because it was a tattoo that they didn't understand, but it looks like a rainbow because it has different colors, but it's an autism ribbon. Don't make me yell. Go ahead, Dave. What was on your mind?
Sorry. Yeah, and it had like a crown or something. One that was a soccer player, favorite team and that. And, they took them down to El Salvador or whatever. And but they don't know how many, and no record of who these people are. And that didn't judge want some records on that?
They want to know. Absolutely.
Like yesterday or so? And if you all remember in his last term, you remember when his people went and abducted those children, those Mexican babies, I believe they were, and out of the arms out of mothers and stuff like that. And to this day, they have no idea how many of them had got snatched and where they are. And how many?
There are still children. I can't remember what the number is. I want to say it's close to 1,000 still who have not been reconnected with their families when they were separated at the border under Trump.
Yeah, God. And that's a nice little Christian act there from the righties.
Exactly.
But and then thinking about what Haig said there, we were thinking about that. When he's getting pressured down, next he'll be pulling that excuse that Trump did that time, that he just thought, I think that mission was unclassified. Poof, declassified.
Exactly.
Right.
So crazy.
Remember?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
And then lastly, so you get to others that I see where there was some headline where some GOP senator who was saying that it's time to move on from the chat line story.
Yeah,
and really,
of course they do. Mm-hmm.
These are the same people who couldn't let go of 2020 for 4 years and then
exactly
about losing.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm still seeing.
They can never let go of anything.
Even though so much of the protocol was actually sort of moved along by, he was so proud of having so many vaccinations. Trump was like, got it done faster than anybody else could have.
Right.
And it's just so incongruent. I've got to run to the break real quick.
Yeah, no
sorry.
problem. Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
All right, good night.
Before we go to the break,
Good
it's
night.
1,360 children as of the end of 2024 still have not been reunited with their families.
That is heartbreaking.
In studio with Ken Mejia-Beal, treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org to learn more about the great work that they do. We'll be right back right after this on 1150 KKNW, Seattle, Washington, AM 950 KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and right here on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Yeah, Dan Levy. Dude!
Yes. Blood is pumping.
Right? Wow, it's aggressive. That's Ken Mejia-Beal, guest co-hosting with me. He's the treasurer of Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org. Hello to our friends listening in the evening. It's on KKNW 1150 in Seattle and on 950 AM KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And we have so many phone calls to get to.
We do.
It's a lot. So let me make sure I get to everybody. Your call will be answered in the order it was received.
I think Andrew is next.
Thank you. Line 3 with Andrew. Hey, Andrew. You're on the air with me and Ken Mejia-Beal. How you doing?
Patty, and nice to speak with your guest as well. And
Hello.
first of all, I want to thank all the people that support your station, because we don't have this over here in Detroit. Why? I have no idea. We don't have that. That's why I'm on the air with you tonight.
Oh, I know. We've got to reach out to some stations, and there's got to be something near you. There's got to be somebody. There's got to be something. No?
There should be.
There should
I listen in Chicago. WCPT and whatever, but there is nothing here in Detroit.
All right, let's look into that.
Yeah, we got to look into that. We got to fix it. I love Detroit.
Me too.
Getting back to the gay issue. Well, first, let's talk about the Republicans and how narrow-minded they are. Because they are single-minded Protestants, there's no thinking outside that box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe they believe, you're no good. You're no good. And the president that they support is not one of them. He is not one of them. He's not religious.
No, he's not.
He is just a figurehead that gives in to them because why? I have no, but because.
Yep. He's a useful
because
tool.
Of the wonderful things he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing, as far as the gay community, I've often wondered and talked about what would happen if you talk to a MAGA person about hermaphrodites.
What do you mean biology? Well, because but you can't. Here's the problem with that: you can't talk medicine or science to people.
Yeah.
Look, years ago,
no, they're ignorant.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
About 10 years ago, when I first saw people talking about how they didn't believe that the planet was round, I knew we were in trouble.
Same.
I was just like, oh man, come on now.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So how are we going to get them to understand intersect if they don't even possibly believe there could be such thing as a hermaphrodite? And oh my God, those poor people! Oh my God, those poor people!
Mm-hmm.
What they have gone through in the history of our country and other countries! Oh my God, the torture and everything! Oh my God.
It's a lot.
I think this is something I would love to have a conversation about at some point. It has made me so angry in the last few weeks to see politicians like Gavin Newsom and Rahm Emanuel seize the moment and go, you know what? Maybe we should throw people under the bus for our own purposes and be opportunistic that way. And I think that, and it's not necessarily, I don't know if it's here or on another platform, but to talk about how gender is a construct.
It is a construct.
I don't know, and now, but like having that, like it's so like people like don't. They resist that. Like there's gender. Clothing doesn't have a gender.
No.
Makeup doesn't have a gender.
Well, if we're going to get technical, and this is anyone can
Throwing
Google
people
this.
under the bus is not the way we want to be. But I agree that maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the place. We've got to find a way to fight back. And I do believe that at some point we are going to be pushed to that. And I don't want violence.
No.
But I want very, very strong opposition to what they are doing.
Absolutely.
Same.
Absolutely.
So good to hear from you, Andrew. Thank you. You were saying.
What I was saying is when we talk about clothing, high heels, for example, were actually made for men.
Right.
They were made for men to make men look taller. Somewhere through time, fashion, whatever, it changed. And it was accepted when it changed.
Wigs and makeup,
yes,
same
those
thing.
were for men.
Yep.
So we just have to evolve. But somewhere along the way, it's been ingrained in us that we can't change anymore.
Right.
And we can't grow, and I refuse to believe that.
You know, you bring up something that I've thought about off and on, because we talk about just going shopping. Like, I remember Macy's would have, there were 8 floors, and 7 of them were pretty much devoted to women.
Yeah.
Men's fashion has not changed since, like, what, the 1930s, maybe? 1940s?
It's a lot.
It's, right? It's a long time. And women's, it is funny to me that my clothing is now vintage, and I mean, like, to see my clothes like a baby doll dress with a jean jacket and Doc Martens. I'm like, was that the Goodwill?
That was what I wore. What are you doing? No, I get
good.
it. Yeah,
I look good.
It's not about. It's about the boxes that other people feel comfortable in. if I see anybody wearing anything, to be quite honest, I don't really care because I just wish, once again, stay hydrated, mind your own business.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to wear high heels, don't. If you don't want to wear makeup, don't.
Yeah.
You don't want glitter in your lotion, don't buy it. But other people do.
Good.
I mean, I don't. But guess what? That's okay.
I have a powder with a little shimmer that it doesn't photograph well. It's the only problem.
Glitter scares me.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like glitter on a Saturday, fun. Glitter Sunday morning, ew.
It's still there. Plus, it's so hard to wash off.
It's everywhere.
So hard to wash.
But I think as a society, we need to move into the understanding that we are going to evolve and change is going to happen. You can fight it or you can go with it.
Right.
Just going with it is sometimes easier.
And the easiest part would be to be understanding, to want to learn.
That is it.
I mean, that's not easier, but for that might be difficult to get through. But once you're through it, I think that it helps you, just to go with the flow.
I will say this, and I'll make it quick, but someone once told me the problem in America is that we have this arrogance about us, that we have to understand everything instead of accepting it.
That's true.
So, for example, I don't have to understand everything about something just to respect the fact that you're a human and you want to do it. If it's not hurting anybody, it's not my business.
That's true.
So if you want to wear clown makeup every day for the rest of your life, I don't have to understand why you want to do that. I just respect the fact that you do.
That's a good point.
And that's
You're
all
right.
we got to do. But there's something about, and I'm going to say it's a collective American arrogance where we have to understand everything.
Yeah,
Instead of
that's a good point.
Yeah, we just accept that humans are humans and some of us are different.
Yeah, you don't have to learn. Not everybody wants to learn.
Yeah.
Well, duly noted.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Just accept it.
I agree. Yeah, my tact on things is, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I do.
Cool.
All right.
Whatever.
Here's Roosevelt calling in Chicago. You're out with me and Ken Mejia-Beal. How are you doing? Oh, are you hydrating tonight, Roosevelt?
Absolutely. I'm drinking. What am I drinking here? Sprite.
Nice.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sprite.
Guys, hopefully I won't take that long. So here we go. So today I heard that Trump said that he would be honored to get rid of NPR and PBS.
Mm-hmm.
And PBS. So I have a rhetorical question for you guys first. And if you could wait till I answer after I finish, which I won't take that long.
Look at Roosevelt laying the ground rules. Go ahead.
I usually do. Okay, so I saw, to the point of the last gentleman from Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. Robert Garcia is pushing back. The Democrats are pushing back.
That's great.
But we are the minority. So my question to you guys, my rhetorical is, how is anything going to survive like Big Bird, which Robert Garcia was holding cardboard photographs of Big Bird, of Bert and Ernie, to the point that you guys were talking about gender, because they claim that they're gay and all this BS, and that Elmo is communist because he's red, all this ridiculous stuff.
So are their hats.
Huh?
So are their hats.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What is happening? Sorry, Roosevelt. Continue.
Sorry.
So Robert Garcia, I believe he's from California. I could be wrong. So Robert Garcia spelled the whole thing out on how ridiculous they are and how much of he didn't mention it, but I thought of it, how much of snowflakes they are, how much they whine and all this. And so then how is anything going to survive if they always have the majority? You're never going to get Republicans. Even Big Bird may not survive the way things are going. And everything is up for grabs. Everything is all Trump has to do, to my point, I'm going around, to my point, all Trump has to do is make a statement, and it's a whistle for the people that are going to vote against PBS, NPR, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
here's the thing. If he wants to break something, he will.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. And less than a quarter in polling, less than 1/4 of Americans want to end NPR and PBS. But they don't care if something is. I mean, most people support access to abortion too, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hey guys, I changed my mind. Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, that guy.
I don't
Whiskey
think he's
leaks.
the only one that should be fired. I think they all should be fired because they were all on the line. They were all.
Yeah.
They were all.
They're all participants. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do you not check all the numbers that are on that list? Like you have no cross-referencing for that?
And why is this being discussed on Signal?
Exactly.
God.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roosevelt.
Thanks, Roosevelt.
Good to hear from you. Thank you.
guys.
Everyone's got to start getting used to my music that plays the outro because we are now broadcasting on 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington. We need to be on time. And for our friends, AM 950 is like, why was she late all the time for our show then? I don't know. And everyone here at WCPT wants the same. I mean, it used to be like 30-minute segments, so we're hanging in there. More in a moment. More calls when we come back on WCPT 20 KKNW and KNTF.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to broadcast from Chicago. Say hello to our friends in Seattle and Minneapolis, St. Paul in the evenings. And joining me in studio is guest co-host Ken Mejia-Beal, the treasurer for Youth Outlook. Go to youth-outlook.org and support the work that they do. And we are continuing to take our calls since we're heading near the end of the show. We got to get to everybody.
We have Jeff.
Jeff is in Elgin. Hey, Jeff, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, guys, I'm hydrated. I hope you're hydrated.
Yes, perfect, Jeff.
Patty, you talk so fast and you say, Ken, and it sounds like Ken's a treasure, is what you're saying.
Ken is a treasure.
And I'm like, Ken is a treasure. Do you hear his laugh?
Right?
When he gets going, that's like infectious stuff.
What do you mean so fast?
Yeah, keep it rolling with the guest host. It's good stuff. Maybe even get like Jim or Roosevelt or one of those regulars on for, a little while to co-host with you sometime.
That would be
fun. Some pretty good stuff.
I don't know if Jim would come in.
I'm just saying.
I know we
get to know some of those folks.
I know we can get Roosevelt in. I don't know if we can get Jim to come in. Jim, you hear that? You got an invitation to come in studio.
That'd be great.
The station's going,
even if you do it via Zoom or whatever, whatever newfangled stuff you kids have. I just wanted to throw out that I feel like we're losing our stomach for what's okay protest-wise. I've been hearing a lot of, left-wing people, whether it's on the news or on their shows, even Joan Esposito the other day, who, draw this line I'm sorry, when you start shouting and yelling and getting disruptive, it's no longer an okay form of protest. And I really don't think it's our job to gatekeep what protesting is all about and what's allowed. As long as no one's getting hurt,
right.
I feel like it's fair game at this point because they're coming for us. They're coming for our rights. They're coming for our democracy. They're coming for due process. They're coming for everything that makes America great in the first place. So I don't know. People can be inconvenienced and people can be a little annoyed if it helps get someone's point across or helps get more media coverage for their cause. I don't know. I think it's worth it, especially at this time, to be out there and to disrupt. And I'm especially looking at those college campuses where kids are, now getting threatened with deportation because they wanted to stand up against funding for Israel. Come on, dissent is baked into our Constitution, and if we don't defend it, we're going to lose it. We got to go for that. And I also wanted to put in a plug for local elections because when they run out of feds and they run out of Gestapo shock troops to enforce all this stuff, It's going to have to come down to the local government at some point. And if you're not paying attention to who you're putting in city council and who your local sheriff is and all that jazz, you're going to get stuck with the same thing just on the local level. So, yeah, keep fighting the good fight, guys. It's always great to hear your voice.
Thank you, Jeff.
And that was
nice.
a great point about the I've had so many conversations, and there are two kinds of people in the world. There are people that hear the F word, and that's all they hear, and there are people that hear the F word and understand why the F word is being said in the rest of the context. I grew up in a house with a Marine that loved Crown Royal. You can use all the swears, and it doesn't even register to me. Yeah, I think people have to get off of their self-righteous, like, oh, I don't use that language, and
it's
they
not
grab
helpful.
the pearls.
They'll say things like,
I'll just shut up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And this goes back to something you mentioned earlier about constitutional rights and protection of speech and things like that. It depends on who's doing it and whether or not you agree with them.
Correct.
And I've been in situations where, people, I was at a Hillary Clinton not rally, but like event at the Pickwick Theater, and there were two young people calling her, yelling and screaming that you're a war criminal and things like that. And so it's sort of one of those things where, and she was fine. She was like,
because she's a pro.
Yeah. She didn't say get them out of here. Right. She didn't say hit them. She Trump has done.
Yes. She's a professional.
And look, it's disruptive, and you get kind of uncomfortable. You're like, how long is this going to last? I want to hear the rest of it. I think that's where some people come from, but I'm not going to negate the fact that they have something to say.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm uncomfortable with protests that don't involve any foul language, depending on the context.
Right.
But I'm never going to tell someone how to protest and what kind of language to use. I think it's very hoity-toity.
Ooh, hoity-toity.
I said it.
Denise is in Chicago. Well, how you do? Oh, no. Are you hydrating, Denise? Hey, Denise.
I am, Patty. Thank you. Yes, I am.
Awesome.
See me catch myself every time. No, I can't. How you doing?
No. Denise is hydrated.
Denise is hydrated.
Yes. I have to be hydrated. What I wanted to say is that Republicans are constitutional originalists. They want only wealthy, white men, most of them seniors, to be able to have the Constitution that we had originally.
Right.
Because it didn't apply to women. It didn't apply to gays. It didn't apply.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Denise. That siren's going to go right to my brainstem. I got to wait till the sirens go past you. 1 second. Let me bring you back up.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better.
One more, and then we're done.
You okay? Go ahead. I hope everyone's okay where you are.
Right. I think it's somebody on a bus.
Okay.
They didn't want African Americans. So that's where we're going back to, the original Constitution.
Yep. Women didn't have rights.
Very few people had rights.
Very few people. Yeah.
Very few.
Very few people had rights.
No, very few poor people didn't have rights.
Right?
It
Correct.
was wealthy property owners, and they were all men.
Yep. 100%, Denise.
That's where we headed back to.
Oh, God, my stomach. I can't. Yeah. No, you're right. You know what? That was one of my favorite things I saw at the Pride Parade last summer was I didn't come this far to come this far. I've heard Scott Duff say that as well. We didn't.
No, we got to keep going.
We got to keep going. And I know we're going back, but we have to keep pushing forward.
Going.
Denise, so great to hear from you, my friend.
No, we can't go back, Patty.
No. Not doing that. Be safe, okay?
We gotta fight.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know I'm in for it. Sleeves rolled up, elbows out. Let's get Steve from Homewood. Hey, Steve.
Hello,
what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Patty. Hey, Ken.
Hello.
Just a real, very brief history of men in footwear. I spent 40 years in the footwear industry. Men's heels started in the 10th century in Persia. It was the cavalry that wore them so it would give them a snug fit in their stirrups so they could shoot the arrows more accurately. And then it became a symbol of warrior power and status, made its way to Europe, and that got into the Louis XIV court because he was vertically challenged. And today we have the Louis heel because of it. And then again, it became powerful. It was a status symbol for men to wear high heels.
Yep. And what was the transition for women to start wearing high heels?
That one, I would have to look that up and call you back another night.
Okay, I would love to do that.
Call back, Steve.
Yeah, I would love to do a shoe segment with you, my friend. You know what? Hold on the line. We might have Lady B take your information. Do you mind? So we can. I don't mind doing a footwear conversation. We can and our friend
Steve. We're going to call you back.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to learn more about your career in the footwear industry. All right, stand by. Lady B's going to get your information. Thank you, Steve. Steve's like, I didn't call to be a guest. Hey, Pat, there's an Evanston. What's on your mind?
Hi, Patty.
Hey.
I have listened to you and...
Oh, Pat.
Pat.
Oh, hold on a second, Pat. Hold on. I got
There's
you.
Pat.
Yeah, you said, I have listened to you, and that's all I got.
Yes, I have listened to you and the gentleman that's with you right now this evening, and it's been inspiring.
Oh.
I just want to offer the thesis that related to Trump and this whole thing that's going on, which is very frightening. We have to be very careful that we don't lose track of the fact, just like you had mentioned, that young lady was coming out of our house, tough university, undergraduate or graduate person, and they arrested her, and they just plucked her off the street. We have to be very careful and not be callous. You were not. That's not what I meant. People shouldn't be callous that said, that's over there. I know that's terrible, but that's over there. This reminds me of, what is it, Kristallnacht in Germany, where, they were gathering up people, and everybody would say there was a saying, they came after that person, and I didn't do anything. They came after that person, and I didn't do anything. But then they came after me, and no one did anything.
Yep.
And I'm so frightened by that. Yeah. I just wanted to offer. But Jeff was excellent. So was Vivi.
Great, absolutely. So were you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Good to hear from you.
My pleasure.
I look forward to you calling again. A listener wanted to clarify, as far as, to be fair to Joan, and I don't think we were commenting necessarily on Joan. I think there's a bigger, sort of resistance to people protesting.
Yes.
But to be fair to Joan, they said that she was talking about protesters who are yelling and invading personal space. I think we were kind of conflating what the listener was saying about Joan and what other people have to say about protesters.
Yes.
So my apologies if it sounded like that. But I know that Joan supports not only protesting, but especially in these times.
Joan's badass.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she really is.
She is.
Bill is calling from Wisconsin. Hi, Bill. You're on with me and Ken Mejia-Beal.
Hi. Yeah. See, I'm up in Wisconsin. Of course, I'm sure anybody listening from Wisconsin is of a like mind. But on Tuesday, I want to encourage all Wisconsin citizens to come out and vote for Karen Crawford. It's very important
you mean Susan
that we do not have a gerrymandered legislature.
Susan Crawford. But, yeah, Judge Susan Crawford is, and then and also Jill Underly for school superintendent, because we also have to keep public funding in our schools.
Absolutely. It doesn't bother me in the least that my property taxes go to help pay for the public school. And every now and then I get a letter from the Catholic school in the area where I live, in Ashland, and I will not contribute to GOP Academy.
There you
Thank
go.
you for taking my call.
That's great.
Thanks, Bill.
Wow, look at him hitting the button. We got our music going. Thank you, Ken Mejia-Beal.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to having you back. We're going to have Shoot Talk apparently next time with
Can't wait.
I know,
Steve.
I'm just saying. Thank you so much for all of our sponsors, to our Solar, Monaco Brewing Company, Are You Really Winning, and Kids Above All. Thank you to our listeners on KKNW, L1150, AM 950, KTNF. Thank you, Lady B. Of course, here on WCPT 820. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil.